Hello everybody, I am Naveed Kaur. I am a research scholar at Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Delhi. I am working under the supervision of Dr. Suresh Bhalla. I will be delivering a lecture on Virtual Smart Structures and Dynamic Lab. I have divided this session into 3 parts. First part, I will be covering an introductory lecture about the SHM and EMI technique. In the second part, I will be covering the experiments being performed in the Virtual Smart Structures and Dynamic Lab. And third part is a dedicated time for the question hours. Also, you can ask questions in between as well. With the smart materials, which property of any material make them to behave smart? So, any material which have the ability to change their physical properties in a specific manner when a specific type of input is applied on them are the smart materials. Different type of smart materials are piezoelectric materials, electrorheological fluids, smart memory alloys, optical fibers, etc. Now, covering them one by one, first is the piezoelectric material. In these materials, when we apply stresses, they produce electrical charges. And when electrical field is applied on them, they'll produce mechanical strain. So when electrical field is applied on them, they'll get either deformed or they'll get either contracted or maybe expanded. So this will be more clear when we'll watch this. When this piezoelectric material is pressed, it is producing voltage. See, it is being voltage is being produced. So on the other hand, if you apply voltage, then this piezoelectric material will get deformed. Right. Next type is the shape memory alloys. The unique property of these type of material is that they memorize their original shape. So whatever the shape they have already, they'll memorize it. So when you heat these material, they'll regain their original shape. Let's watch this video.
So in the previous video, I showed how the nitinol remembers its original form when it's heated up. Now, many people were wondering if you could tie it in a knot and would it revert to its original shape? Let's give that a go. So I tried a various array of different knots, and from what I've noticed, it kind of works. Even though I couldn't get the knot as tight as I wanted because it's made from metal, it's still pretty impressive. Okay, let's try something else. So here's a new batch of nitinol, which jammed some more wire around the top of a can and heated it to set a circular shape. And now, when I heat up this pathetic excuse for a triangle, it reverts back to a circular shape. Interesting. Now for this last test, it's just a bit of fun. I scrumpled up a big bunch of straight nitinol and threw it in a jar of hot water, just to see what would happen really. Here we go. And it kind of looks like a spider's web. So there we have it. More experiments with nitinol.
Next type is electrorheological fluids. The property which make them a smart material is that when electrical field is applied across these fluids, they change their viscosity. It will be clear when we watch this video again. And other types are optical fibers, in which if we apply temperature, pressure or mechanical strain, there will be a change in the optical electronic signal. And the other type is magnetostrictive materials, in which when magnetic field is applied, mechanical strains are observed in the material. Now, concentrating on the piezoelectric materials, on which the whole lab is actually based on. Piezoelectric materials, they exhibit two effects, direct effect and a converse effect. In the direct effect, when mechanical stress is applied on these materials, electrical charges are produced by these materials. And in the converse effect, when electrical field is applied across these PZT materials, mechanical deformation in the form of contraction or expansion is observed in these materials. Now this is a typical response of a PZT patch, which is either surface bonded or embedded on a host structure. The structure may be RC structure or a steel structure. So this is the voltage response in time domain. So you can see when this response is particularly when the host structure is hit with an impact force. So initially the response is very high, then due to damping it slowly dies down. And this is the FFT response of the same voltage. So we have done the fast Fourier transform of the voltage of the time domain data and converted the time domain data into frequency domain. Now what is the use of converting that data in frequency domain is that we will get the frequency content of the whole data. So what is the frequency? Which frequency is contributing the maximum to the response of the structure? So that frequency is actually the natural frequency of that structure. Possible applications of the PZT materials. Direct effect. In the direct effect, that PZT patch can be used as a sensor. It is used in the structural health monitoring. SHM is basically structural health monitoring. And in the converse effect, this PZT patch is used as an actuator. And when we use the direct and the converse effect collectively in a combined manner, it is used for electromechanical as an electromechanical impedance transducer. This technique of SHM is called electromechanical impedance EMI technique. In the direct effect in SHM, we deal with the low frequencies, like frequencies ranging in the range of 5 Hz to maybe 100 Hz. So it's basically in Hertz. And in the EMI technique, the frequency ranges from 30 kilohertz to 400 kilohertz. So the range has now increased from Hertz to kilohertz basically. So it's a high frequency technique. Now what is EMI, electromechanical impedance technique? A PZT patch is surface bonded on a structure using high strength adhesive and excited at a high frequency in a range of 30 to 400 kilohertz by an impedance analyzer, which is LCR meter. Now you can see the PZT patch attached on this host structure. What is the basic phenomena what is being used here in this EMI technique is that using the LCR meter, we first of all we select a range of the frequency, right? For the first frequency in value, a sine wave of that particular F1 frequency is being transferred to the PZT patch using the LCR meter. So the PZT patch is now actuated using an LCR meter. That actuation, since the PZT patch is surface bonded to the host structure, so that actuation is now transferred to the host structure. Now in the same PZT patch will start acting as a sensor. Initially it was acting as an actuator, now it will start acting as a sensor, and it will sense the deformations of the structure, host structure experienced by the host structure, and it will give the response to the LCR meter. So in this way, a same PZT patch is being acted as a actuator and a sensor in the EMI technique. Here you can see just a free body diagram of a PZT patch being attached at the bottom of the beam, and the response of that PZT patch is being taken by a LCR meter and then transferred to the computer. Now this is the LCR meter basically give you the response in conductance and susceptance term. Conductance and susceptance are the real and the imaginary part of admittance, and admittance is actually the inverse of impedance, and impedance you can relate it something like stiffness of a structure, which is more physical. You can relate this term more easily. And these plots, this is the conductance and the susceptance plot. These are the typical G and B plots which LCR meter gives for PZT patch. Now considering I section beam in the pristine stage when it is not damaged, after damage, in the damage stage, what we did, we created a hole of 5 mm dia in the flange of the beam, and we took the signature, the conductance signature of the PZT patch, in the undamaged state and the damaged state. So you can clearly see the difference in the two signatures. So basically this PZT patch enables us to detect the damage, whether the structure has got damaged or not, using the EMI technique. Now this is the Virtual Smart Structures Dynamic Lab. You can access this lab using this link, ssdl.itd.ac.in, vssdl home. In this lab, you can access the experiments online through internet remotely. So you can see the students performing the experiment remotely. We'll be covering this in the second part in a very detailed manner. So the link for this lab is ssdl.itd.ac.in. Now I'll invite questions if you have any. You can raise hand in the AView software if you have any question during the presentation part, introductory part. Any questions are welcome. See, I want this session to be more interactive as such. It shouldn't be like I keep on speaking.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon.
What are the experiments you are covering in the structural dynamics lab?
What is the, sorry?
What are the experiments you are covering?
Yeah, I'll be explaining everything in detail in the next session. In the just coming session, I'll be explaining all the instruments which we are using in the next coming session. Sorry. Anything else?
What are the smart materials? Smart materials now you explain.
Smart materials?
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, yes.
Smart materials now we are saying those materials we are using for the AV structures.
We are using piezoelectric. piezoelectric materials, PZT patches.
Okay. So some materials, some smart materials we are using for the base isolation and all.
Base
For the base
isolation.
isolation, we smart materials.
For base isolation, as such, we don't have any experience. We are not using here any smart materials for them. But you can, I think, use piezoelectric materials also for the same base isolation also. But I personally don't have any experience, so I'm not able to answer that question very well. I'm sorry. Anything else?
No.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yes.
good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Ma'am, how can you understand this? The equation was admittance equal to conductance plus susceptance.
Yes, yes.
To y is equal to a plus IB or
Right,
IB or
right.
something.
Yes.
So how can you understand that the admittance as a physical quantity?
Right,
उसका
right.
actually physical relation क्या है?
I understood.
Interpretation.
See, admittance as such doesn't have any physical relevance because it is the impedance which gives you some physical meaning, and impedance is the inverse of admittance. See, it is very difficult to measure the impedance of any structure directly. So what we did, we measured the admittance of that structure and indirectly relate that thing to the structure, stiffness. And impedance, you can imagine something like stiffness of a structure. Like stiffness is force divided by displacement, and impedance is force divided by velocity, and admittance is inverse of impedance. And G and B, conductance and susceptance, they are the real and the imaginary part of the admittance. So indirectly you can understand the meaning of admittance. I hope I'm clear. You can ask if anything else. Okay, so we'll proceed further. Now, before going to the next session, I'll invite my team members to introduce them one by one. Hello.
Yeah, continue.
I'm Sushmita Naskar. I am a MTech student. Basically, our lab is about virtual smart structure. We are having two types of experiments. One is trigger based and another one is simulation based. So at trigger based, we can just give the trigger and we can easily get the values from the computer. And now we will introduce two other members, that is Mr. Vijay and Mr. Sujit.
Hello. Can you listen to me? Hello? Yeah, I am Vijay Verma. I am a staff of Dr. Suresh Balla and I will be providing technical support here. Okay, thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. I am myself Sujit Kumar Tandon. I am here for QEEE projects for lab tutor under the Dr. Suresh Balla. Thank you.
Now next part is the virtual smart structures and dynamic lab.
This lab is basically a part of a virtual lab project sponsored by the Ministry of Human Resource and Development, Government of India. And our lab, this SSTL lab, is one of the labs being selected as a part of pilot program for QEEE program, Quality Enhancement in Education Engineering. In this lab, the experiments, there are two different type of experiments, the trigger based experiments and the simulation based experiments. In the trigger based experiments, the user gets the real time data. He can perform the experiment in real time and he'll get the feeling of performing that experiment using the video and audio links available on our site. In the simulation based experiments, the idea is to use the computer models so as to make the user understand the basic facts, the basic dynamics behind the structures. Before performing the experiment, we expect that the user reads the manual related to the experiment thoroughly so that he'll be beneficial from the facilities which we have provided. So I'll take you to the tour of the lab. This is the whole Virtual Smart Structures and Dynamic Lab. This lab consists of total of 8 experiments. In this lab, we are using a digital multimeter. This is DMM. This instrument is directly connected to the user's computer via internet remotely. So whatever reading this instrument is capturing is directly transferred to the user's computer via internet. This instrument is connected to the user's computer via a software called vPro. So any experiment, to perform any experiment in this lab, vPro software is a mandate. This instrument is called LCR meter. This instrument is used for the experiments in which EMI technique is used. This instrument captures the conductance and susceptance signature of the PZT patch. This instrument is also connected to the user's computer via internet remotely and also through vPro software. This is the setup for experiment number 2. In this experiment, we have considered an aluminium bar which is freely suspended through flexible tape. So in this experiment, the aim is to consider axial modes. The aim is to find the axial modes of a freely suspended aluminium bar. See, it's very difficult to find the higher order modes in any structure. So this experiment enables us to find the higher order axial modes of any structure, that is a aluminium bar in this case. In this bar we have attached 2 PZT patches, one on the front and other on the back side. And these PZT patches are connected in parallel in order to get the axial mode of this aluminium bar. I'm sorry for the interruption. I'll explain this experiment number 1 again. So we have considered a cantilever beam on which a PZT patch is attached at the fixed end and the other end is free. So this rotating wheel helps us to produce impact load. So it will hit the beam and vibrations will be produced in this cantilever beam, which will be sensed by this PZT patch and then transferred to the DMM. And this is the location of the camera, which enables you to see the real-time setup of these experiments. This is for experiment 1 and 4, and this camera helps you to see the experiment number 2. Now this is our experiment 4, in which we have used a simply supported beam. This experiment is based on photogrammetry. Here there are 2 points A and B with a fixed reference. So we know the distance between these 2 points, it is 100 mm. And this is point C, which is at the center of this simply supported aluminium beam. When we will capture the picture of this whole setup in the basically four situations. First is the no weight, when this beam is not loaded. Then we will keep on adding loads at fixed interval of time. Like we will be adding loads at 1 hour. So this experiment is being repeated twice a day. So first 4 conditions at 1 hour interval in the first half, and similarly in the second half. So we will keep on adding weights here, and we will keep on clicking the picture of this whole setup like this. So we will be adding 4 weights here, and we expect that the deflection of this beam will be maximum when all the 4 weights are kept on this beam. So what we have to do in this experiment is that we will, since we know the distance between these 2 points, that is 100 mm, and we have captured a picture of this whole setup. So what we'll do is we'll draw a normal, we'll draw a normal from C to A, to this line. We'll draw a normal from C to this line, and we'll measure the length of that normal. We know the length of this as a reference, and we can relate this length with this known length. So we'll be able to see the whole length of this normal. And in this way, we'll repeat this in 4 cases: no weight, first weight, second, third and fourth weight, and we will be able to get the deflection in the terms of the length of this normal from point C to point AB. And now I will perform the experiment. Before performing the experiment, I want to ask if there is any doubt, and everybody is with me, so that I can proceed further. Please raise your hand if you have any question. Right.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good
Yes.
afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. There. Go ahead. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
Ma'am, experiment number 4 का objective क्या था मैम? Actually, we want to know the vibration signature in experiment number 4.
No. In experiment number 4, the object.
Vibration signature in experiment number 4.
No, experiment number 4 is not to get the vibration signature. It is to get the deflection of the beam at the center point using the photogrammetry.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I would like to know in the experiment number 4
Yes.
whether we'll be able to find out is this experiment number 4 in any way related to the vibration of the structure? Vibration?
No, it is not. No. Vibration of the structure you can get the vibration of the structure in experiment number 1. When the cantilever beam is hit by a hammer, you can there get the vibration of the cantilever beam. So that is done from using the DMM, actually, digital multimeter. We will proceed to perform the experiments. The link which I have given in the presentation, the ssdl.iitd.ac.in/vssdl, and if you click the home page, you will be prompted to this page. In this page we have designed a special QEEE package in which we have given the direct links to see and understand the theoretical background behind the experiments which we are performing here. So you can click these videos and watch them for better understanding. Also there is a link to see the very quick and small tour of this lab. And there is a QEEE package link, special QEEE package. Here we have given a very step-by-step, very explanatory method in which will help you to perform the experiments. So everything used to perform the experiment is given in this QEEE package link. I'll show you. So here we have given the step-by-step procedure to perform the experiment. Also we have given a phone number. You can contact us anytime during the working hours. So Monday to Friday from 9 to 5, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This lab is these are the operational hours of this lab. So you can contact our technical experts anytime on this phone number for any query. If you are facing any issue in order to perform these experiments, you can contact our technical experts. Also you can interact with them directly using these Skype IDs. Now starting with experiment number 1, the first and the foremost thing which is expected from you is to read the manual of the experiment. See, otherwise it is very difficult. So this experiment experiment number 1, which I just explained, aims to measure the vibrational characteristics of an aluminium cantilever beam. The aim of this experiment is to find the natural frequency of that beam and to compare that natural frequency with the theoretical natural frequency. The formula for the theoretical natural frequency is given in the manual itself, and all the properties also are given here. You just have to perform the experiment, get these types of plots, get the natural frequency of the beam and just compare it with the theoretical value. So we will perform it. Yeah, before that, for performing experiment number 1, 4 and I guess 2 also, you need vPro software. So we have given the links to install these softwares in the website itself. Also you can click here to see the experiment in real life setup. Yeah, one thing is to open these links in Explorer. So this website is compatible with the Internet Explorer. So you can see the experiment number 1 here. So you can have a feeling of performing the experiment in real life using this video link. Now I assume that after reading the manual of the experiment and installing the software, you are now going to perform this experiment. So once you open the link to perform experiment number 1, you will be prompted to this screen. This screen is a GUI for the Vipro software. This Vipro software actually links your DMM instrument, the hardware, to the software. So Vipro software enables us to directly take the readings from the DMM into the user's computer. We will use the sampling interval of 1 millisecond and total readings of 10,000 readings. So we are actually taking the readings for 10 seconds. Here you can change the name of the file, whatever you want to, and also you can change the path where you want to save this file. The data will be saved in Excel or maybe CSV files. You can directly get the data from the Excel sheets. Once you have set everything, sampling interval, number of reading 10K, name of the file, and change the path according to your requirement. Now we will push this button play. It will ask me again to change the name of the file if I want to, and the location of the file if I want to change. I'll keep it as it is. Okay. So now it is running. You can see here, experiment 1, it is running. It takes some time to take 10,000 readings. 2 peaks here. Can anybody tell why you are seeing 2 peaks in this plot? This plot is giving the time domain, voltage of the PZT patch with time, and this plot is the FFT, the FFT of the voltage response. So what FFT do is to convert the time domain data into the frequency domain, and this FFT function helps us to get the frequency content of any response. So you will be able to get the natural frequency of the system. I'll come to that in detail afterwards. First I want to know, can anybody tell me why I am getting 2 peaks here? I've watched the system, the whole setup of experiment number 1 carefully. You would have seen that the hammer which is hitting the beam, it is hitting the beam at constant interval of time. So as you chose 10 seconds, 10,000 readings at 1 millisecond interval. So in that 10 second, it is a possibility that the hammer has hit the beam twice. So you got 2 peaks actually. It's not 2 degrees of freedom. Because perfect. GIT teacher, yes sir, perfect. Okay. Right. Screen share. So in this way you can choose a particular range. This data is being saved in the Excel sheet of the name whatever you have given here, and you can choose for the readings till this part only, or otherwise the other option is you perform it again so that you get only 1 peak in the whole interval. The other option is you reduce the number of readings in such a way that you get only 1 peak while performing the experiment. And the importance of FFT plot. In this plot you have to ignore this high peak for 50 Hertz. This is actually electrical noise, so you have to ignore this. These peaks are of some meaning to us. So we can say that this peak corresponds to the natural frequency of the cantilever beam. So it is around 19 or 18 Hertz. So the natural frequency you just got in a click. The natural frequency of the aluminium beam you just got in one single click. This is the advantage of performing this experiment. In this experiment is based on EMI technique. In this we have considered freely suspended aluminium beam. The aim of this experiment is to find the axial modes of any freely suspended.
virtual lab में नहीं perform किया.
ओके ठीक है. In experiment number 2, the aim is to get the axial modes of free aluminium beam which is suspended using a flexible tape. Similarly, in this experiment also, we will read the manual first. This type of plot for the conductance is expected to get, and this is the natural frequency of the this is the formula for the formula to calculate the natural frequency of the freely suspended aluminium beam. So in this experiment, the aim is to compare the theoretical natural frequency with the experimental value. So in this experiment also, you need to install the vPro software, and again you can click here to see the real-time setup as I have already shown you. So we will directly perform the experiment. Now here this is the screen where you will be prompted when you will open to perform this experiment. Here you are seeing two screens, conductance and susceptance. G is basically the conductance and B is the susceptance. You can give here the frequency range from 100 kilohertz to 120 kilohertz at a step interval of 100 hertz. And you can change the file name from here. This option can be clicked if you want to overwrite the previous file with the same name. Similarly, we'll push this button play to perform the experiment. Now it is capturing the conductance and the susceptance plot for the PZT patch attached in the cantilever and the free suspended aluminium beam. Okay, so it has now finished. In this you can see the peak is coming around here. Save the data. It is already saved in XLS file with the name of axial file, and you can compare the conductance plot, the frequency from the conductance plot with the natural frequency using this formula. So in X,
Hello?
yes,
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you
yes.
please show the results of the experiment?
Yes. Yeah, hello? Yeah, please be little louder. You're not audible.
Yeah.
Again, your voice is very feeble. It's better, I think, if you...
Can you please show the results of experiment number 2 again?
Experiment number 2 results are in front of you. I have opened the screen.
Results of experiment number 2 graphs of experiment number 2.
These are the
On your
graphs
screen, please.
of experiment number 2. Experiment number 2 graphs are in front of the screen. Can you see
Which
them?
screen, ma'am? Full screen?
Yes, full screen.
We are not able to view the results actually.
Okay.
In this, the second one,
Second graph. susceptance.
I want to ask question regarding this second graph
Yes.
between trace 1
Yeah, it is susceptance with frequency.
Yes, now I am able to see the graph. I want to I have a query regarding the second graph.
Yes. Yeah.
I have query regarding the second graph.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you please explain what this second graph is indicative of?
Second graph is basically the susceptance of the PZT patch varying with the frequency.
Okay.
On the
Susceptance,
x-axis
it is susceptance.
it is susceptance, and on the x-axis it is frequency. On y it is susceptance and frequency.
In physical terms, for example, if I relate the first graph with the frequency,
Okay.
that is conductance, can I relate conductance with?
What do you want to relate? Conductance, susceptance or admittance? I have already explained the physical relevance
Okay.
of... Yes?
Can you repeat the question?
Why is this graph continuously rising for the second one, for the second case?
Yeah,
Why is this
basically,
graph continuously rising for the second case, for the second graph?
see the peak which you see here, that basically signifies resonance frequency. Peak is indication of resonance. You see a peak, typically around 110 kilohertz, you will see a peak. So that peak basically shows the resonance frequency of the structure.
I have a question regarding this second graph for susceptibility.
Yeah.
Why is this line continuously rising for this particular experiment?
See, you see some kind of kink kind of peak you see here. So this is normal for susceptance. Conductance we see a full-fledged peak, and for susceptance usually we see a this kind of
Actually,
trend.
sir, we are not able to hear you. The quality of sound is not so good.
Yes, just I want to repeat that. First of all, peak. What is peak? Peak is basically indicator of the resonance frequency of the structure. And here what is the structure? A beam which is in free conditions. Later on you will calculate the natural frequency by formula. Which if you go through the manual, this is the experimental frequency, and you will compare it with the frequency by using the relation for a free beam. Is it audible? If not, please say no.
They have written something in the chat.
Hello, can you hear me? I am unable to hear you.
No, sir, it is not audible.
Yeah, not audible, we will
Not
resolve.
audible, sir. No, sir, no.
Oh, you are not able to hear me, huh? Okay, I'm just asking my team. No, not properly. That means you are able
You can
to
hear, but
hear
there is lot of
noise. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah. Go ahead.
What is the practical application of the experiment number 2?
Okay. See,
Practice.
this experiment number 2 is based on the EMI technique, which I explained during my presentation. This EMI technique is used to detect the damages which are very small. So, in the civil structures which are very important, say you can take the example of nuclear structures, or also in aerospace structures, where a very small crack, even a very small crack, can cause lot of damage. So we cannot afford very small cracks in the nuclear structures. So there, to detect the damage in the structure, this EMI technique is useful. Also, you can use this EMI technique. Currently, one of our research scholar has used this technique to detect the corrosion assessment, do the corrosion assessment. So this technique can be very useful in detecting the damages which are very small, which cannot be seen with naked eyes. Visual inspection where not possible, we can use this EMI technique.
Yeah, I would just like to add that some of the examples are, if you go to the resource page, we have some examples where the EMI technique is used. And this is high frequency technique, as Naveed has told you. So it can detect damage much earlier than any other technique. Now in this particular experiment, especially what we are doing is we are identifying a very high frequency mode. So this is very easily identified in the form of a peak. Otherwise, this is not possible to be identified for such strip structures which have especially modes in the kilohertz range. So these are the two practical applications.
I hope we answer your question. Next is the experiment number 4. This experiment is based on photogrammetry. I have already explained the principle in detail while explaining you the setup for this experiment. So we'll click to perform the experiment. Now in this you can see the setup of the experiment number 4. You can see the point A, B and C. सुजीत जी वो करना वेट्स चेंज करना उसमें right. So in the first stage, so this experiment has to be repeated in 4 stages. First stage is when there is no weight, right? You will just capture the picture of this screen using this button. Now there is no weight on the simply supported beam. You have captured the picture, just save it. Say I save it on the desktop with the name of no weight, right? Now next step is when I put a weight, first weight 1. डालेंगे जल्दी, just put the weight. Now the beam has got deflected little bit though, and it is a weight of 0.43 newtons. We will capture the picture again, save it with the name of 0.43 newtons on the desktop. So in this way we will repeat it 4 times. No weight, weight 1, we will put the weight number 2, 3, 4. So we will put 4 different weights and we will keep on capturing the pictures of these the whole setup, and we will compare the lengths. I will show you how to do that. So in that way we have got the deflection of this point C corresponding to the particular weight. Now I will show you what to do with the captured pictures which we have taken just now. You have to open this window, the camera real setup in the Explorer. in the Internet Explorer, because this website is compatible with Explorer. So sometimes when you use this with the Chrome, you will be able to see the setup, but to capture the picture there is some problem. So we will suggest to use Explorer for this experiment. When you will save the picture, what you have to do is just open that picture in maybe Word or Paint. You know the distance between these two reference points A and B, it is 100 mm. So just draw a line in, say I open that picture in Word, I draw a line between A and B. I can know the length of that particular line which I have drawn, and since that length is equal to 100 mm, so that will act as a reference for me. Next step is to draw a normal from point C to this line AB. So you will draw a line normal from C to AB and just measure that length. So now you can relate the previous length, which is equal to 100 mm, which we have kept as a reference, and now you can get the length, a particular length in mm, the length of the normal which you have drawn from C to AB. So you have got the length of the normal in mm. So similarly you will have to repeat that 4 times when there is no weight, and 3 different weights I should say. So in that way you will be able to get the deflection of this beam. So the length of the normal will keep on increasing, since this beam will keep on deflecting when the weights are more and more weights are put on this cantilever beam. So this beam will get deflected and the length of this normal is expected to increase. So we assume, we can draw the length of the we can draw the deflection of this beam for particular load and draw the plot of load versus deflection. So this is the aim of this experiment, to get the load deflection curve using photogrammetry. I hope this experiment is clear. If there is any doubt, you can ask, otherwise I will proceed further. Just raise your hand if you have any doubt. Just raise your hand. Any doubt? Okay, I assume everything is clear. So I'll proceed to the next experiment. I'll take one of the simulation based experiment. This experiment, in this experiment we have modeled this beam in the computer using FE software, and this experiment is also in 4 stages. First stage, when there is no damage, we will take the signature in the pristine stage, without damage, undamaged stage. Then we will induce the damage. 3 different level of damages can be induced: incipient, moderate and severe. And we will keep on capturing the signatures of this plate in 3 different stages. First is the undamaged state. So we keep the frequency from 100 kilohertz to 120 kilohertz. Submit. Now you can see the data for the conductance plot is being captured for the undamaged state. You can use this button, download data, to save these readings in the Excel sheet. aim of this experiment is to compare the conductance signature in the 4 different stages: undamaged stage, incipient damage, moderate damage and severe damage. So we will keep on acquiring the conductance signature in 4 different stages, and we will save the data using this button, download data, and compare them by overlapping the results. So I will download this data. So you can save it anywhere. This is pristine.xls. So you can save this data. Next experiment. So next step is to induce damage. We will induce the first level of damage, that is incipient damage, acquire the signature. Similarly, here also we will give the same readings of the frequency range which we have kept in the undamaged stage, and we will submit it. It will again take the readings and say I do it again. We will repeat this step. So now it is capturing the data for the incipient damage, first level of damage. Again I will download the data and save it and compare the 4 levels by overlapping the conductance signature of the 4 different level of damages. So in this way you can detect the damage occurred in any 2D structure using the EMI technique. This is all from our side for the today's session. If there is any doubt, you are free to ask. Like, this is the special dedicated time for the question hour session. You can ask any question if you have.
First experiment. Is there any doubt about first experiment? I think some questions were asked that y is negative. Can the question be repeated?
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So, during the first experiment, I asked that since the hammer hits the beam the first time, it gave a positive in the vibration signature and the voltage was the time graph. It gave a positive amplitude.
Yeah.
And the second time, ma'am explained that in the second peak the hammer must be hitting the beam again. So
Yeah.
then it gave a negative value of the signal amplitude.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking why positive the first time and negative the second time, since the hammer is hitting the beam in a similar fashion.
Yeah, actually the hammer is not very perfect, unfortunately, because our main hammer, it is under repair. Now this particular hammer, it exerts an erratic force on the cantilever, and it's very slow. How it works, it first presses the beam down and then suddenly releases, and during that process sometimes this kind of thing it happens because it releases it in a jerk. When you repeat the experiment next week, we'll have our better hammer ready, so you will not have this problem. But what we are interested is, just ignore the first part. The first part is a transient part. First few readings you may ignore, and you can also see the, just let me complete, complete. So you can also see the FFT part, the frequency domain. So that is direct. If you have missed any part, what you can do, you go to the manual of the experiment and read it there. And if you have problem, you can again contact us. In addition, this recording, this whole session is recorded, and Amrita University staff who are handling this, they will upload the entire session, so you can again have a look.
From the same software library.
from the same software A-View, you can again run the entire recording. And if you have any further questions, you can send us email. Our tutors, they will be online for the next whole week. So these 4 experiments you can complete.
I'll conclude here the session, and I thank everybody for participating in this session and making it a successful event.